Installing mousses can be real challenging or can be real easy if you use the right techniques. So this is a dual rim lock that I use for hard enduro riding with really soft gummy tires. So this is a, what is it? It's an IRC JX8 Dakota. So it's a real soft gummy with real soft mousses. And when you're running something that soft, you want to run dual rim locks so that it'll bite down and clamp on the beads in both places and not slip. But how to install that is tricky if you don't do it right. But if you do it right, it becomes easy. I'll show you my rim lock location. Basically, you kind of want to do one at 6 o'clock and one at 12 o'clock. And but directly at 12 gets real tight right here in the spaces. So you basically move over one to where you get a ton of room so you can get your wrench in there. When installing, start off, I'll just go straight to doing it. I get the biggest rim lock shoved in the tire first and leave the smaller rim lock last. So that's easier to get on, which pretty much just set it right on the rim, get this big rim lock, stick it in the tire, and then you hold it in place with your legs. Kind of get your legs dirty this way, but start prying it on. You don't need to get a real big bike because it makes it hard. Just kind of get right there, kind of near 9 and 3 o'clock, and then start prying it on. Get another bite, just little bites at a time. Remember, too big of a bite you do, it gets too difficult. There we go. And one last bite. Now your bead's on. Next part is, well, first, check to make sure this bead is still inside the tire, which it is. If it doesn't, you gotta flip over and pop it back on. But then for this second bead, it's still out. So what I do, let me move this just so you can see it in the video. Film this by myself. To get that second bead lock on, or rim lock in, I pretty much just hit it flat, and then grab this, and then pry it over. And then sometimes you put pressure on it pulls the rim lock up with it. Just kind of hammer it. You pry it on like that, push that rim lock up in there, and now that second rim lock's in, right? At this point, just double check both rim locks are inside the tire, and then go back to installing. Now, I use just a $70 Tusk tire machine. I mean, it's Tusk, it's 70 bucks. All it has is an arm on it, and that's all I need. You know, I haven't found much benefit to like Rabicondas. They're so expensive and you don't get much. It doesn't make tire installs easier because installs all done with levers. So I just use this that's low to the ground so I can sit down and be comfortable. So now how I do it, notice how the rim locks are offset. I want this rim lock right there. So basically I rotate it around to where I have one rim lock right here and one rim lock right there. This is based on my tire machine because right here I got a pry-in part right here, and I start on this side, work my way all the way around here, and then end at this rim lock. There's a few different ways you can do it, but you know, to each their own. This is the way I do it. Push the Mousse down in there. This one holds the bead in, just like that. Lock it in right there. It'll hold the bead so it doesn't work its way off. And then I grab two levers, which, oh, there's my second lever. And then just start working my way all the way around. Don't get too big of a bite. Start working your way. And then for this rim lock, basically get as close to the rim lock as you can get without putting pressure on it. Because basically if you were to get like right here, for example, and push on it, you're pushing on the actual rim lock, so you can't push this in. So you got to get far enough away from it. Hold on, I pushed it back in. There we go. far enough away from it to where you're not putting pressure on it, and then jump over basically as far away from this as you can get with still being able to push this bead in. So I go about halfway and stop right there to where I'm not putting pressure on that rim lock, and then grab this, and I do it sprocket side down, so I use the sprocket, or sprocket side up, so I can use the sprocket as leverage. And then I push that in, and it pops right in, and now the bead's in there. So now that rim locks in, easy peasy. Then start working the rest of your way. Now, about right there, it gets real tight. That's where you can tear a bead. This is where everyone struggles a lot with getting their mousses installed. And if you were to go to the other side to push that bead down in the channel, sucking it down in there gives you extra slack over here, so this becomes loose. So what I do, I stand on it with my heel, put pressure on it, give me a little more slack, and then work it in. And I like these curved levers because they can get in right there in that sprocket and get underneath the bead and pop it in. So these are my favorite levers. Now right here at the end of the bead lock, or the last rim lock, basically get yourself in there. Hold on. There we go. Now you don't want to be, remember, you don't want to be prying on the actual rim lock, so get as close as you can to it. And I get it about halfway. Don't let it pop in yet, because if it pops in right now, it'll be putting pressure on this rim lock to where you can't push it up. So you want this free so you can push up on it. See right there, I can push up on it and then pop it in. Sometimes this bead doesn't quite pop in all the way. So if that were to happen, I would take all these levers out, and let me just kind of show you. If that doesn't happen, take all the levers out. You know, if the bead was still popped up here, I would line this up to get ready to push it in, pry that in, and then with this lever, push it down in, and it pops right in. But it popped in this time. Now, setting the bead, or locking the rim locks. Notice how this bead is popped out where you want it to be, but this bead is still sucked in. If this was sucked in right here, I wouldn't care, I would leave it, because you can tighten this down and it'll work its way out as you're riding. But you don't want to tighten it down with the bead sucked in, because then it won't ever pop out while you ride. So in that situation, some people just use, they use compressed air to blow it out. Too many parts and labors and valves. Screw that. Just get a lever, slide it in, pull it out, and that's it. Now you can tighten it. Here, the bead's not in, I don't care. First time I ride, the bead will pop out. And if it doesn't, then it, using an air compressor won't pop it out, riding it will pop out, it doesn't matter. But if it'll pop out while you're riding. And then, so the bead's set on this side, check underneath, make sure it's set on the other side, which it is. But if it's not, then you would flip it over, do the same thing. Oh, this one feels like it's close. Let's see. Okay, the bead's set all the way to here, so that's pretty much set, because the rim lock's only right here, so it'll bite where it needs it. So tighten these down, tighten them both down, and you're done, ready to go. I won't put tightening these down in the video, because that's obvious. You know how to do that. But anyways, that's how you do a dual rim lock Mousse install with the techniques that I use, and it works great. Yeah, so that's all I use is just this Tusk tire machine, and you don't need any fancy machine to put tires on, just levers.